Muriro on Monday. Brace yourself, it's a hard hat area.
Star FM sounding good all the time. Good evening and thank you for making us your number one. Here's hoping you've had a pleasant Monday. It is 19 minutes before 7 o'clock, and as always on a day and time as this, we discuss issues keeping Zimbabweans awake at night. I am Linda Muriro, and many thanks to Folake, who was ably in charge over the past 2 weeks, delving deep into issues of national interest, as is the norm on this show. Now, last week, she hosted Primary and Secondary Education Deputy Minister Angeline Gata as the discussion took us through Zimbabwe's education transformation, unpacking the new heritage-based curriculum. The week before that, Folake had a conversation with Skills Audit and Development Minister Professor Paul Mavima with a view to understanding efforts being made to upskilling the citizenry towards an upper middle income society. And a big thank you once again to Folake for steering the ship. I am Linda Muriro, my first show for the year, and I sincerely hope that 2025 has been kind to you thus far. Now, the Zimbabwe Republic Police ZRP recently launched an operation targeting unregistered commuter omnibuses and pirate taxis in a blitz that has also resulted in the arrest of more than 10,000 motorists for various offences. The operation comes amid concerns about the menace caused by public transporters, which has contributed significantly to the high rate of accidents that have claimed lives, while others have been left maimed for life. While stakeholders have hailed such operations for their contribution to order and sanity on the roads, calls have been made for police to safeguard lives, as many have fallen victim to police combi chases. Over the years, school children especially have been killed or injured in these movie-style chases. It is estimated that around 16,500 combis are operating in Harare alone, with about 2,900 of those registered. How do we balance the need to ensure law and order on our roads vis-a-vis the safety of the public? Can compliance, public convenience, and safeguarding livelihoods all be achieved? We discuss these and more tonight. Stay with us.
This is Muriro on Monday on Star FM. Muriro on Monday. Brace yourself, it's a hard hat area.
And for my discussion tonight, I'm joined in the studio by Zimbabwe Republic Police National Spokesperson, Commissioner Paul Nyathi. Commissioner Nyathi, good evening, and thank you very much for coming through.
Good evening, Linda. Good evening, listeners.
And we're also joined in studio by Greater Harare Association of Commuter Operators GACO Chairperson Ngoni Kachairo and Zimbabwe Union of Drivers and Conductors ZUDCO President Frederick Maguraminga. Ngoni and Frederick, good evening, and thank you for coming through.
Good evening, Linda. Compliments of the new year.
Good evening, Linda.
Listeners.
All right, and after the news at 7 o'clock, we will be joined via the phone from Bulawayo by Morgan Msipa, who is chairperson of a Bupta Limited Company. And I will be counting on you as the commuters, the motorists, and the road users to contribute to this discussion via the studio WhatsApp platform on 0772162651, as well as the phone lines, which I will open after the news at 7 o'clock, 0714414413 and 0772162651. But to begin with, Commissioner Nyathi, can you tell us what necessitated this latest operation, and what are the latest figures as far as arrests have been made are concerned?
Thank you very much, Linda. I want to firstly remind Zimbabweans that the Zimbabwe Republic Police has got a constitutional mandate to ensure that law and order is maintained in whatever Zimbabweans are doing. This entails safeguarding lives, protection of property, and generally ensuring that Zimbabweans feel safe, feel secure as they conduct various socio-economic activities. So in this regard, this operation came as a result of the need to ensure that motorists, whether one owns a family car, one owns a private car, or a public service vehicle, or a common car, they adhere to the country's road rules and regulations. And here we talk about good driving conduct. We talk about not creating imaginary lanes, not going through road robots, not, causing congestion, chaos on the roads, where at the end of the day, the police are called to move in and restore order. Linda, it's very sad that instead of deploying police officers to do other constitutional duties, other constitutional responsibilities, we've had to use a bigger chunk of police officers just to control traffic. Even at traffic junctions, at traffic lights which are operational, which are functional, because some drivers feel that they don't want even to observe a functional traffic light. What does that entail? It entails that those people must be arrested and the law must take its course. So in this operation, we've said we are targeting all pirate taxis or Mushikashika because they are not registered to be carrying passengers from one point to another. And we are also targeting motor vehicles which do not have number plates, those not display number plates, because these vehicles are getting used in robbery cases. Some of them get involved in hit and run accidents. They don't even bother to stop. So we want every vehicle, in terms of the country's Vehicle Registration License Act, to be registered and to comply with all the country's road rules and regulations for the safety of Zimbabweans. So we have so far arrested over 10,906 motorists who are not complying with the country's rules and regulations. We have also accounted for over 265 touts. Remember, touting is an offense. People should be given the opportunity, people should be given the chance to board a vehicle of one's own choice. People know where they are going. People know where they are coming from. So why should they be forced to board vehicles they have not chosen? So we are also dealing with the touts. And we are also working with the community associations to ensure that anyone who claims that they belong to an association, they genuinely belong to an association. They don't bring the name of the association into disrepute. Here we mean that if a combi operator belongs to an association, then they must lead by example. And we are also engaging the associations to say, we know there are members who are no longer your associates, who are no longer under a purview, and who are continuously displaying your logo. Please let us know so that we deal with those people, because these are some of the people who are going through red robots, who are causing chaos on the country roads. Then we have got this issue, which has gone viral on social media, which people are complaining about, to say police are inconveniencing travelers. And some have been giving reference to Chitungwiza. I can tell you, Linda, that as we speak now, a part of the Zimbabwe Republic Police Command has just come from the Chitungwiza Road. And what we have seen is said, to be quite honest, the unregistered combis, some of them, they carry passengers from the CBD. And when they reach Chitungwiza Bridge, just before the police checkpoint, they drop passengers, go back to the CBD to pick up the passengers. Then you have combis coming from Chitungwiza. Before they reach the police checkpoint, they drop passengers and go back to Chitungwiza. And they pick people who have been dropped by the combis which have gone back to town. And we now know that there is a syndicate of rogue elements within the police, a syndicate of some transporters, and also the combi drivers who are working in crowds to dupe unsuspecting members of the public. And some of them have even discovered they've got stickers which have been put that they are allowed to pass through checkpoints.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Nyathi. So 10,906 motorists who are non-compliant have been arrested. About 2,000 touts have also been arrested. These rogue elements in the police force, can you give us figures? How many have been arrested?
We are still compiling figures. We are monitoring the situation, and I want to assure Zimbabweans, certainly, the Commissioner General of Police, Commissioner General Stephen Mutamba, has made it clear that anyone who engages in any form of criminal act, in any form of corruption, if this person is a police officer, decisive action will be taken. And as we speak, all investigations are in progress, and I want to assure the public that definitely by next week we'll be giving them figures on anyone who would have been arrested. And also this includes the syndicate of some people who do not want to comply with the country's laws. Just imagine, Linda, the Harare alone has got 16,500 combis. Out of 16,500 combis, only 2,950 are registered. So what it means, close to 13,000 or 14,000 combis are playing hide and seek with the law. They don't contribute anything towards the maintenance of road in the country. They don't contribute anything towards road safety. They just want money. That's why we are saying, from now onwards, the police will ensure that any combi which is not registered should not be carrying passengers.
Right.
And we want to send a message to the owners. They should not cry foul. They should not mislead the nation. If they want to be genuine public service vehicle operators, they must go to the relevant government arms and ensure that their combis are properly registered. Please.
All right. The good thing is we have a representative, or representatives rather, who are part of this discussion, Commuter omnibus operators, and we're also going to be joined by another such representative from Bulawayo, and then we will get to hear what the challenges are as far as compliance is concerned, or ensuring that they are registered operators. And I can assure you, Commissioner Nyathi, that our WhatsApp is going crazy, and I hope we will have more time as well to take calls. Now, just to take you back to something that you alluded to for the benefit of doubt and for the benefit of our listeners, when you make reference to touts, who is defined as a tout? We have seen combi crews usually consist of two people, the driver and a conductor. Ndivo here vamuri kuti matouts, because vana vanenge kazhinji they are paid by the operators, Maria ya driver nemari ya conductor atinozoti mawindi ndiwo here matouts. Tinozoona zvekare there are those who are at the various pick up and drop off points, vamwe vanorembera pamakombi. Maybe mungade kutijekesera kuti atiri kuti matouts ndeapi?
The laws of the country, Linda, are very clear. Mtemo yemunyika medu, very clear and straightforward. For a combi drive, the associations know it. They must have badges which clearly identifies them as drivers for the benefit of travelers, for the benefit of passengers. The conductor must also have a badge so that if something happens, the passengers know who to approach. But sadly, most of the combis which are operating in our country, you don't see a conductor with a badge, you don't see a driver with a badge. That's why we are saying we now need everyone to play ball. From the association side, from the policing side, even from the local authorities. Because you also have a challenge of pick-up points, where people are just being picked from every point. And in the process, it creates chaos. It puts a strain on policing. There are some issues which is not been labored with the police. These are the issues which should also be addressed by other stakeholders. That's why I'm saying we now need each and every stakeholder to play ball so that we don't continue to play the blame game. And it will start with all combis being registered. It starts with the operators being honest to the country, honest to themselves, honest to the passengers, so that we don't have combis 14,000 operating in Harare without being registered.
Right. And Commissioner Nyathi, how do you balance the competing interests of crime management through the security checkpoints and the desire to not disrupt production time and making Zimbabwe an attractive tourist destination? Are we not gravitating towards the Chihuri era with these operations?
Certainly not, Linda. I want to assure Zimbabweans, most of the police checkpoints or roadblocks, they start well after 8 o'clock in the morning, when most of the workers have gone to their workplaces. And also, I want to make it clear, Linda, here at Star FM, any person who is driving a vehicle, if it's a family car, if it's a company car, or a public service vehicle, if that person is complying with all the country's road rules and regulations, there will not be inconvenience. I want to reiterate, there will not be inconvenience. And I also want to say it in Shona or even in Ndebele. Munhu wese ari kufamba pamugwagwa kana achiteedzera mutemo wemunyika mumugwagwa asingapari mhosva, asingatizi mapurisa, havana chavanombonziwo vangatadziswe kufamba pamugwagwa nemapurisa. In any case, mapurisa aripo kuvachengetedza. Ndozvandoda kuti ndikumbire vanhu veZimbabwe, tisaite kunge mombe dzemashanga. Munyika mine mitemo yakaiswa kuti chengetedza, haipo kuti uraya. Saka zvazvinoreva ndezvekuti kana mota ifanonge ine resiness, ngaite resiness. Kana mota ifanonge ine manumber plates, ngaite manumber plates. Kana iri kombi, nenge chinzi kombi inotakura vanhu, ngaive nekombi, iri kombi ine zvinhu zvakakwana. Chimwe zvazvinozoita Linda ndezvekudai, pakaita tsaona, vanhu vanotanga kutuka hurumende, vanotaka kutuka mapurisa, chinzi vanhu vafa, asi hatitarise kuti kombi iyo ndeani, hatitarise kuti angachityaira chaaita chii. Then tozotarisa kuti vanotenga makofini ndiani, iwe hurumende. Vanenge vakurapisa vanhu, iwe hurumende. Asi hurumende asi iri kutora mari yekombi ichiisa mumapocket. Pane munhu akari kumba akatogara, ari kumira kuti mari ngaiuye, anondopa matargets. Saka ndiri kuti isusu as Zimbabweans, let's change the way we do things. Tobatsira in the proper maintenance of law and order in the country. In the process, I can assure you, no one will be inconvenienced while he's driving on the country road. And this is true.
All right, it is 2 minutes before we get into the news at 7 o'clock now, Indaba. And if you've just joined us, I have in studio Zimbabwe Republic Police National Spokesperson, Commissioner Paul Nyathi, as we discuss the latest operation that police are undertaking on the roads countrywide. And we're also joined by representatives of commuter operators, as well as the drivers and conductors themselves. And you keep your messages coming through on 0772162651. And I can tell you that Commissioner Nyathi is conversant and fluent in 3 languages, Shona, English, and Ndebele. So when we do open the phone lines, please fire the questions. Or if you want to speak, he will definitely be able to speak with you. And just before we go to the news at 7 o'clock, briefly, Commissioner Nyathi, how is the ZRP collaborating with other authorities such as municipal police, as well as VID and Ministry of Transport?
Linda, we have a collaborative approach. Before the onset of the operation, the police command in Harare and even at national level, they met the commuter associations where VID officials were represented. And also, we also met not only the intercity or the intracity, we also met the Zimbabwe Passenger Transport Organization hierarchy, and the engagement process is ongoing. We work closely with the VID because remember, some of the operations which we do, they also require input from CID in terms of vehicles which are given normally what to call the form RT16, so that what is required for that vehicle to go back on the road is done, and the vehicle is certified to be fit to be traveling on the country's roads. Then we also work closely with the Ministry of Transport and Infrastructure Development and the Ministry of Local Government, which includes the local authorities. That's why we're also saying the other issue which we also plead with the local authorities to address is the issue of commuter ranks. This must be addressed and addressed urgently so that we don't have people vanomira pese pese vachida kutakurwa. Here I also want to appeal to Zimbabweans. Tine macommuter ranks are designated. Ngatirege kumira pese pese kana mazotsikwa motanga kuchema mchituka hurumende.
Aiwa ndizvozvo tichambomirira ipapo tichienda kunhau dzedu. We continue with our discussion with the Police National Spokesperson Commissioner Nyathi after the news at 7 o'clock. Makateerera kunepfenyuro yeStar FM tokupai nhau indaba.
Now Zim Papers Radio Broadcasting Division.
Hurumende iri kusimbisa kuti munhu wese apinde muzvirongwa zvebudiriro. Totarisa nyaya iyi nedzimwe zvizere. Manheru ndinonzi Siphatisi Wempofu. Vakafa nobata chinzvimbo chemutungamiri wenyika, Acting President Dr. Constantino Chiwenga, vanoti nyika inofanira kushanda shandisa nzira dzinoita kuti munhu wese apinde muzvirongwa zvebudiriro pasava neanosara. Dr Chiwenga vaita kurudziro iyi pakuvigwa kwegamba renyika vaJustin Mupamanga kuNational Heroes Eka muHarare nhasi.
The wartime call urged us not to be greedy and selfish, not to be corrupt and egocentric, or to be narrow-minded and tribalistic. We all swore to a shared future in which everyone had a place on the table, a place in the sun for a culture of equal opportunity where every Zimbabwean served in equal measure. Zeubvanzu kudya kwemumi takazviramba. When our president says, leaving no one and in no place.
Hello? Hello? I'm okay, how are you? Linda, okay. Thank you. No, I just got in after when you were about to go to the news. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Mudzimai wavo Aida Edita Mpamanga vanakomana vana nevazukuru vanomwe. United Arab Emirates yaratidza chido chekusimbisa kudyidzana kwayo neZimbabwe kubudikidza nekuisa mari muzvikamu zvakatsaukana. Vachitaura kuvatapi venhau muHarare nhasi, nhengo yeboard yeZimbabwe Business Council vaChad Mako vati izvi zvichazarura mikana yekuti upfumi hwenyika husimukire kuchisimbiswa zvekare ukama hwenyika mbiri idzi. Mukuru weZimbabwe Revenue Authority Zimra Commissioner General Regina Chinamasa vanoti chikamu ichi chiri kusimbisa zvirongwa zvekupedza dambudziko rekupinzwa kwezvinhu munyika muno zviri kunze kwemutemo pamiganhu yenyika. Commissioner General Chinamasa vataura izvi kuZim Papers Radio News pagungano rekucherechedza International Customs Day paRobert Gabriel Mugabe International Airport muHarare nhasi. Zvichakadaro, Zimra Customs and Excise Commissioner Batsirai Chadzingwa vati zvakakosha kuti nyika ishandise mishini yechizvino-zvino pamiganhu sezviri kuitika pasi rose kuitira kurerutsa zvirongwa zvekutengeserana uye kupedza kupinzwa kwezvinhu munyika zviri kunze kwemutemo. Nhasi nyika yabatana nepasi rose kucherechedza International Customs Day kuchiremekedzwa basa rinoitwa nevecustoms nezvikamu zvinokodzera mukuchengetedza miganhu nekuona kuti zvirongwa zvekutengeserana zvinofamba zvakanaka. Idzi dziri nhau, iko zvino Sharon anokupai indaba.
Indaba kuZim Papers Radio Broadcasting Division.
Uhulumende uthi wonke umuntu kumele angene kunhlelo zentuthuko. Ngilipha indaba nginguSharon Mbambo. Osaphethe isikhundla sikamongameli uDr Constantino Chiwenga uthi kumele kwenziwe inhlelo zentuthuko ezigoqela umuntu wonke. uDr Chiwenga ubekhuluma emngcwabeni kaJustin Mupamanga eNational Heroes Eka eHarare namuhla.
The wartime call urged us not to be greedy and selfish, not to be corrupt and egocentric, or to be narrow-minded and tribalistic. We all swore to a shared future in which everyone had a place on the table, a place in the sun for a culture of equal opportunity where every Zimbabwean served in equal measure. Zeubvanzu kudya kwemumi takazviramba. When our president says, leaving no one and no place behind, he is reminding us of this wartime covenant, a covenant we must all live by across generations, starting and including our very own. Zimbabwe belongs to all of us. We must share its God-given bound. Share its bound equally, so no one, not even the weak, the widowed, or the orphaned, are displaced or elbowed out by the strong in a mad rat race to grab unmerited privileges. Corruption has to end.
Umuyi oliqhawe lelizwe uJustin Mophamanga ubhubhe ngolesithathu iviki ephelileyo eArundel Clinic eHarare abeselatshwa khona umkhuhlane wetshukela leBP. Ubeleminyaka 71 eyokuzalwa. Uchiya umkakhe uAida Mophamanga amadodana amane labazukulu abayisikhombisa. I-United Arab Emirates UAE ithi izaqhubekela phambili iqinisa ubudlelwano bayo leZimbabwe ngokufaka imali kunhlelo ezitshiyeneyo zakuleli. Ekhuluma lentatheli zindaba namhla eHarare, omnye wenkokheli zeZimbabwe Business Council, uChad Makho, uthe ukuzimisela kwe-UAE ukusekela inhlelo zakuleli kukhangelelwe ukuvula amathuba entuthuko. Omunye wenkokheli zeZimbabwe Revenue Authority ZIMRA, uCommissioner General Regina Chinamasa, uthi baqhubekela phambili ngohlelo lokwehlisa ukungena kwempahla okungekho emthethweni emngceleni yakuleli. uCommissioner General Chinamasa ukhulumela amazwi leZimpepers Radio News kusenziwa umcimbi we-International Customs Day eRobert Gabriel Mugabe International Airport eHarare namuhla. Kusenjalo omnye wenkokheli zeZimra uBathirai Chatsingwa uthe uhulumende kumele asebenzise imtshini yakulezi insuku emngceleni njengamanye amazwe ukwenza imisebenzi wabo ubelula kwehliswe lokungena kwempahla okungekho emthethweni. Namhla iZimbabwe ibambane lomhlaba wonke kunanzwa ilanga le-International Customs Day elokuhlonipha indima edlalwa ngabasebenza emngceleni bephathisa ukuthi amazwe athengiselane impahla. Bekuzindaba nginguSharon Mbambo ube lokulalela okuhle.
This is Muriro on Monday on Star FM. Muriro on Monday. Brace yourself. It's a hard hat area.
Many thanks to Spatisiwe and Sharon for giving us Now Indaba. We continue with our discussion right here on Star FM, sounding good all the time. It is 9 minutes after 7 o'clock, and I am Linda Muriro. Tonight we discuss the ongoing police traffic operation to bring law and order on our roads. And I am joined in studio by Zimbabwe Republic Police ZRP National Spokesperson Commissioner Paul Nyathi, as well as Chairperson of the Greater Harare Association of Commuter Operators, GACO, Ngonika Chairo. We also have in studio Zimbabwe United Deregulated Commuter Operators President Frederick Magura Minga, and we are now joined on the line from Bulawayo by Bupta Limited Chairperson Mr. Msipa. And Mr. Msipa, good evening, and thank you very much for joining us. Hello?
Hello?
Hello, yes. Good evening, and thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
All right, this is Morgan Msipa, Chairperson of Bupta Limited Company. And before that news break, Commissioner Nyathi did tell us that about over 10,000 motorists have been arrested, and the corresponding number of vehicles impounded. About 200 touts have been arrested as well as 600 vehicles that are not were not displaying their vehicle registration numbers. And we continue with this discussion, and so many messages coming through on our studio WhatsApp number, and the phone lines are 0772162651, 0714414413, 0242 if you're calling on the landline, 660897. And Commissioner Nyathi did also mention that police have dismantled a corrupt syndicate involving commuter omnibus operators and traffic police officers manning roadblocks in Harare and the surrounding towns, although he did not give us the figures as far as these traffic police officers are concerned. And Commissioner Nyathi, just to take you back to that, you have the figures at your disposal around the vehicles that have been impounded, motorists that have been arrested. But this issue of rogue elements in the police has not started today, has been a problem for quite some time. How come you don't have the figures at your disposal as you have imamwe mamotorist muri kuziva kuti masunga mangani, mapurisa sei musiri kuziva kuti masunga mangani, kuti tinyatsoona seriousness iyoyo yekuti there is no place for corruption in the police force?
Linda, I want to assure Zimbabweans that we will give them the information. But currently, what I know, and the statistics available, we've dismantled the syndicate in Chiweshe, which was taking bribes. We've also dismantled, remember, the Mabvuku of Menesi, which was also taking bribes. We've also dismantled a syndicate in Chinoi, even in Mashingo. In fact, throughout the country, I can tell you, Linda, that we've effected over 10 arrests of police officers who have been involved in corrupt activities on the country road. But also, after realizing that it's not only police officers who are involved, we also have transporters involved. We also have, combi drivers involved, including those driving private cars. That's why we are saying we will arrest the police officer, we will also arrest the driver or the vehicle owner, because we now know it takes two to tango, the one who is offering and the one who is receiving. And I'm also happy we are receiving cooperation from the associations. Some people are even coming forward to give us information, but that is not enough. We want Zimbabweans to have a culture of honesty. We want Zimbabweans to have a culture of transparent. Where you are wrong, accept that you will be arrested, taken to the courts, you pay your fine. If you have to go to the police station, you pay your fine. No negotiations. And this will assist in terms of the maintenance of law and order in the country. So definitely arrests have been effected. And in terms of the Police Act, if somebody is arrested, it is clear, one, they face disciplinary action, two, they face criminal action, and above all, they lose their jobs. We also want to challenge community operators, the owners themselves. If what their drivers and their conductors are doing, they do not approve it, they must fire them and tell us that they fired them. Police officers, even you can read in the media, some of them, the cases are before the court. So we now want everyone to play a part in terms of fighting corruption so that we don't continue with this blame game. But I also want to challenge operators to say, Imimima operators, you must also make sure that your combis are tip-top, those who are registered to carry passengers. We don't want passengers to board ramshackles. Honestly.
All right, let's hear the operators. Now, Morgan, your thoughts or your views around this latest operation. How have you received it as a Bupta Limited?
Good evening, Muriro. We, as a company that provides public transport to the masses of Bulawayo, we are quite happy that there is such an operation. But the disturbing factor is that its effectiveness at the end of the day does not carry the weight as it is supposed to carry. Because if it is done on a given short period. And once that period lapses, everything goes back to haywire. We expect the police to do a continuous policing on the roads, weeding out those motor vehicles that are non-compliant, so that at the end of the day we remain with compliant vehicles only. That's my take on the issue of the operation. Normally, operations which are bleaches, they don't really give out the intended results, because the moment people know that today the police are on the roads, they remove their motor vehicles and park them. When the bleaches is over, they go back to the roads and still continue operating the way they would have been operating before the bleaches.
All right, and Morgan, it is estimated that Harare alone has over 16,500 combis that are operating, with just about 2,900 of those registered. Do you have any idea what the situation is like in Bulawayo?
I'm not too sure on the numbers of how many are compliant or non-compliant, but I can speak on behalf of maybe 3 organizations, which will be BUPTA. BUPTA is about above 1,000 combis that are operating under its banner, and there's also Chovambaiwa, which is more than 600 combis, and there's Bulawayo City Transit. It has more than 400 combis. So I don't know these other organizations whether their status quo in terms of compliance. But I can speak on behalf of BUPTA that anyone who would want to check compliance status that we are trying to do, you can check with the Ministry of Transport, because we have of late declared that no one shall be found in our loading ranks without the requisite documents that are supposed to be there in each and every motor vehicle in terms of the Road Motor Transportation Act.
And to what extent have organizations such as yours contributed to order on the roads, as well as ensuring public convenience in their transportation?
What we have done is that we have said every motor vehicle must be compliant so that it does not delay passengers when they want to go to their intended destination. We have said no motor vehicle that is carrying a banner or is operating under a banner of BUPTA should be found operating at non-designated areas. We must use the ranks that we have been given by City of Bulawayo so that we remain orderly.
All right. Okay. Thank you very much, Morgan. And coming to studio, Ngoni, you are representing the Greater Harare Commuter Omnibus Operators, GACO, and you are the chairperson of that association. And as we've had Morgan from BUPTA Limited, the concern that such operations or the blitzes are given a hype in the first few days but will fade as time goes on, with some operators just holding back motor dzavo kuti dzisafambe. As soon as it's done vodzokera parodi. As GACO, what are your views around this the current blitz?
Thank you, Linda. I concur with the Commissioner Nyathi and Mr. Morgan Msipa concerning the issue of continuity in terms of these blitzes. They mustn't come in as blitzes. They should continue enforcing the law, not as blitzes, but continuously. Every time we must see these roadblocks weeding out those operators without operating papers. We have encouraged our operators as GACO to ensure the safety of passengers. And to ensure the safety of passengers, you must make sure that your vehicle is roadworthy. You are following all the rules and regulations on the road. Things like certificate of fitness are very important. Things like passenger insurance, vehicle insurance, Zinara license, all these documents that were listed in the Traffic Act and the Road Motor Transportation Act to be supposed to be on a public service vehicle, they must be there so that we continue to safeguard the safety and continued movement of safe movement of passengers from one place to another. So in terms of compliance, we are saying out of the 16,500 in Harare, 2,950 are compliant. So we are pleading with police to say those that are compliant, they must be given a free passage, whilst we concentrate on the 13,500 that are not compliant. So we are seeing a situation where those that are not compliant are forming syndicates with those that are supposed to be enforcing the law, like what Commissioner Nyathi has just said. We need to break those syndicates. We need to ensure that all the public transport operators are operating in terms of the law, so that government has confidence in our ability to move passengers from one place to another. Government also gains resources, financial resource from our operations, whilst we get protection from police as compliant operators.
All right, and looking at compliant, Frederick, what are the challenges when we look at the compliant operators in Harare? It falls far below half of the combis that we have on the roads. What are the challenges as far as ensuring compliance?
Yeah, thank you very much. The challenges behind compliance are mostly around the issue of costs and how many papers do we need for somebody to be a compliant operator. It's so heavy. I remember we have been always talking about the double dipping, where we have the route authority from the Ministry of Transport costing $75, but at the same time we do have the council letter, just a letter to approve route or to notify. It costs $143, and how on earth can we have a document from the government being actually overpowered in terms of cost by a document from the city council? And as you know, we have an addition again of the speed governor, which is costing from $90 to $150 as I speak. We also have got the passenger insurance per year. It's $180 per vehicle. We also have got issues with the operator's license itself. The process can be long. The process requires much, but the problem may not be. This may not be the only problem why we do have operators not complying. If the Mushikashika fields are actually left to grow without continuous enforcement, it becomes a problem, because they have found that you can do business at Mushikashika. The figures themselves have spoken, because if we do have 13,500 vehicles not registered, it means a lot. It means Mushikashika, you can load while you are sleeping. I can give a very good example. Sunningdale, I witnessed myself. I was there. I got into the vehicle until it was full, and when it had 16 passengers, they had to wait again, the driver outside, wait for the other 4 passengers vanogara pakadoma. Ndikati saka munhu anotokotsira panapa haasi kutosungwa. Panhu pandafunga inini kuti kwedu kurengi murengi chaimuchaimu munhu anorodha akacheuka. So we have got a problem yekuti we have to accept as stakeholders, including enforcement, that statistics have spoken. Where do we need now to direct our force? Where do we need now to direct resources? I understand in terms of numbers, because of the police may be outmaneuvered or outnumbered by the law breakers. But now, why do we have a situation whereby a vehicle which has got fitness and everything, and maybe the driver has got defensive and medical, and that vehicle is actually going to have all passengers being disembarked, maybe for excess of 1, excess of 2. So this is where our prayer is coming and request that may we be given a free passage. If there is an overload, we accept. If those people can be taken out.
Before I bring in Morgan Ngoni, this discussion, we've been having it for the longest time. I can remember on the shows that I personally have done as far back as 2015. Tatoshika 10 years. And I know organizations such as GACO, Vanama Guraminga, you have been engaging central government, specifically the Ministry of Transport and Infrastructural Development, which houses the RMT, which is responsible for issuing marezinesi kuma operators. Why are these issues that you're raising? Why has there not been any headway as far as these issues are concerned? Say tikuramba tichingotenderera panzvimbo imwe chete over 10 years tichingotaura zvinhu zvimwe chete. What are the issues really? What is the challenge? What are the challenges when you consult the authorities, given that indeed, as you've mentioned, the combis are cash cows for central government, even our local authorities? Tataura kuti ku RMT kune mari inoenda kuzinara, kune mari inoenda kuma insurance, kune mari inoenda futi kuma local authorities, rank disc. Saka sei given mari dzinoburitswa nemaoperator, matambudziko enyu asiri kunzwika kana kugadzirisika?
Yeah, thank you, Linda. I think issue iri kunyanya kunetsa panyaya compliance. Tikatanga tatarisa zva kubulawayo kuna vamsipa uko. The local authority yakaisa mutemo wekuti mubulawayo hakupiwe any public service vehicle license yekuti aoperate mubulawayo asina kubva neku-association. Mutemo iyoyo ndo watiri kuramba tichingochemera muno muHarare kuti kubulawayo kwakarejistwa 3-4 associations dziri kutakura vanhu. Mafigures tapiwa navamsipa. Muno muHarare zviri kufana kuitwawo zvakare. Saka tiri kuengenja Ministry of Transport. We are happy now taane ka progress katakuita nekuti Ministry of Transport yakapublisha ma-associations ayakaregister muno muHarare and throughout the country. But muHarare kunyanya tine about 10 or 15 associations. Mamwe aya ari kungoisa mastika asina kunge association yakarejistwa ndo vari kutaurwa naVanyati aya kuti iwaya ngatimabuditsei aya, ngatishandei nema-associations ari registered, munhu wese ove mu-association. Mu-association tinodzidzisana kuti mota yese ngaivenge iri compliant. Tikangoenda rutu yemutemo wekuti munhu wese ngaapinda mu-association isiri police, ngauite mutemo sezvakaita Bulawayo yakaisa bylaw. Harare inofana kuita the same. Ministry of Transport inofana kuita statutory instrument inotaura izvozvo kuti takaisa policy asi ngauchive mutemo. Tikadaro tinounza order. Tataura nezve 2900 combis dzine mapepa panapa kuGACO tiri kuti tine 1200, tomboti minus 200 or so akanhingirikina akafa kana kuti atakadzinga nekuti haasi kuteedzera mutemo weGACO. Toti tine 1000 kuGACO. KuZUDCO maybe vane the same number. Then totarisa mamwe ma-associations takutoona kuti 3000 iye tatosvika ne 3, 4, 5 associations. Asi Vanyati kana vachitaura nesu vanoti muHarare mune 50 associations. 50 associations dze 13,500 vasina mapepa. Why are we concentrating on 3,000 vane mapepa? Let's concentrate on 13,500 vasina mapepa. Ndo zvisiri kutipa progress izvozvo. Tikaconcentrata kuti tumhosva tudiki tweva nemapepa vaive toburutsa vanhu. Vanyati ipapo tiri kukumbirisawo.
Tichanzwa kuti Commissioner Nyathi mapurisa ari kushandidzana sei nemi kukupai amati free passage vachitarisa vachiconcentrate on vari compliant. But I'm just going to go back to Morgan before I drop the line so that I can bring in the listeners as andanzwa nepa WhatsApp kuti tiri kuda kufona. So I'm just going to ask Morgan, but I think you've also touched on that, Ngoni. I was going to ask Morgan that if they are solid legal and regulatory, if there's a solid legal and regulatory framework to recognize, guide and govern the operations of associations, good as they are with regards to bringing orderly operation in the transport sector, there is also the concern that the organized ones are being tarnished by the bogus ones that are sprouting up. What needs to be done to give effective powers or authority over associations such as yours, Morgan?
What I think is for us as a country to go ahead and finish this problem of combis is that every city in Zimbabwe should make a bylaw which allows that only combis that are in associations recognized by those given local authorities are allowed to fly the road. and that the police should actually give 100% protection to those combis that are in recognized associations registered with local authorities. Then we will minimize this madness which we are seeing all over. The problem is that we have been on these programs. We have engaged the Ministry of Transport, and of late it has recognized the associations, as my brother Ngoni has said, and that these associations are now registered and known. But here in Bulawayo, what they did, they went a step further. They created a bylaw which recognized the 5 associations or 5 companies. And these companies have signed what is called service-level agreements with the city of Bulawayo, that they are going to be the only people who are going to provide public transport within the city of Bulawayo for the next 5 years. It's a contract that is signed. Now, what remains for us to do better than what we are doing now, it's for the police to come and protect these that have been given these contracts, so that we don't find any other person carrying people in Bulawayo not belonging in these companies or in these associations. What is frustrating, Muriro, is you may find that there will be roadblocks that are on the road, and when these roadblocks are there, motor vehicles which would have removed number plates will go through that roadblock. Motor combis that would have combis that would be having yellow number plates will go through that roadblock. When these things are happening, there are other non-designated points which the police are supposed to work on, so that we don't continue to have these farms that people refer to. Kuti iprazi rangu riya mota inotakura paya inotakura nokuti yabhadhara kwandiri, isu tichibhadhara kuhurumende. So if we concentrate in saying we want to finish 1, the non-designated points, 2, motor vehicles that are having yellow number plates, we must remove them completely from the road. That power is with the police. Motor vehicles that are moving, combis that are moving around carrying people without number plates, that can be done by the police. If we want it to be more enforceable, let's use the South African system, where we give the power of policing the routes to the designated association. If you take GACO, for example, and say, GACO, you have got your routes that are going to A, B, C, D, police that route. No any other combi can go there. Police it yourself and give them the power to stop and remove that car from there. Then we are going to finish all these problems. That's how I think it could be the best way of doing it.
Morgan Masipa, chairperson of Bupta Limited Company in Bulawayo. Thank you very much for being part of this discussion and sharing those insights. I am dropping the call now so that I can be able to accommodate the listeners and so that we can hear their contributions regards our topic of discussion. The operation has not only affected or is not only targeted at public transport operators, as we've heard Commissioner Nyathi saying, even vari kufamba nemota dzisina kudisplaya maplates atinoti mareg number vari kusungwawo and various other traffic offences. So do come through on 0772162651 0714414413, and if you're phoning from outside Harare and you're phoning on the landline, the number is 660897, prefix that with a 0242. Now, Commissioner Nyathi, before we take calls, the issue that has been raised raised by the operators kuti mapurisa muri kutopenalize vacho vari kuzama, and some have argued kuti izvi zviri kuitwa kuti marogue elements etambotaura yaya maoperators haasisina kwekutiza nako, anopedzisira toti the only way out is to work in cahoots neava vari kudhimanda mari mapurisa, because vaita zvese izvozvozvo vacho vasina kunge vasina mapepa avasitorina zvachose ndo vari kuonekwa vachifamba. And others have also raised concerns that vemushikashika ava tinongovaona vari panzvimbo makona acho anotozikanwa, kana muri muharare along Leopold takawira panomirwa paye vachitakura vari kuenda kunana parirenyatwa, tiri kungodziona mota idzi, ende kazhinji mapurisa anenge ari parutivi ari padivi. Zvingave ndizvo here kuti mapurisa ari kunzi ari kupenalize vacho vari compliant to give maoperators no option but kuti vange vachiburitsa zvioko muhomwe kune mapurisa emambotaura muri kuti marogue elements?
Linda, I want to assure Zimbabweans that the Commissioner General of Police, Commissioner General Stephen Mutamba, has addressed that. That's why we have been able to break this syndicate. For example, the one which was operating along Chitungwiza Road, involving some, I know there is this guy who people are referring to, saying, Kuna Anonzi Benjamin. As police, we don't know Benjamin. If there is anyone who claims that Pani syndicate, an association of Benjamin, if they are registered, if they are operating in terms of the law, they must come and engage police so that we know that they operate in terms of the country's laws. But if they are operating combis which are not registered, combis which do not have papers, I can assure you, Linda, we have taken action and we will continue to take action. And for the benefit of the public, this operation will continue for the next unlimited period. I can assure you it will continue. Of course, the Zimbabwe Republic Police will continue to refine the operation, to evaluate it, to assess it, so that it remains relevant. And when we do it, sometimes we don't even need to tell the public. Because remember, we're also dealing with people, some who have got devious minds like what Morgan was saying. Kuti kune vanhu vanotoziva kuti kune operation wobvisa motikari pamugwagwa vodziunza usiku. That we are fully aware. That is, we speak now, there are certain vehicles which are not registered to be carrying passengers which are now moving at night. And that's where people again are robbed. That's where people again are raped. So we want Zimbabweans to be law-abiding citizens. That's why I'm also saying, Linda, I want to challenge the travelers, the passengers. They must also play a part. Vanofamba muHarare, even in other towns, for another town for that matter. Please, let us stop this habit of boarding motikari pasingafaniri kunge pachitakurwa vanhu.
Aiwa ndizvozvo, regai tigonzwa kubva kune vanofamba vacho. But before I take calls, Commissioner Nyathi, police treasury has given the ZRP the green light to retain fines it imposes on motorists and other offenders and use it to address its pressing needs. How do you as police balance the need to raise funds for your operations and the legal obligation to carry out a professional law enforcement activity?
Linda, I want to, from the onset, to tell Zimbabweans that the Zimbabwe Republic Police receives funding from the government of Zimbabwe. And as we receive funding from the government of Zimbabwe, there are statutory provisions which indicate that there are certain percentages the police must access as the fines are deposited. So these are the issues which are currently being implemented. So we are not creating another set of fines. We are not creating another set of offenses. The Zimbabwe Republic Police is just dealing with the offenses which are committed by any traffic violator. Anyone who is committing a traffic offense, these are the offenses which people are being penalized for. If they are to pay a fine, they pay a fine. If they are to go to court, they go to court. So that's why I'm saying, Linda, and I want to keep on repeating, any Zimbabwean who is a genuine Zimbabwean for that matter, a law-abiding Zimbabwean for that matter, he has nothing to fear.
Right, regai tichivanzwa vacho kuti zvokwadi zvomene they have nothing to fear here. Namba dzedu dzenhare dzinoti 0772162651, 0714414413 and 660897, prefix that with 0242 if you're phoning from outside Harare. Star FM, good evening. Hello, yes, you're through to Star FM.
All right, ndine contribution yangu yandinayo panapa. Tinosangana nedambudziko rakaita sekuti pedu paMount Pleasant apa paNarizinda apa ndiri tine motikari dzemushikashika dzinototakura pamberi perengi, but you'd find police inouya ichisunga motikari iri murengi iri kunzi yaita excess nemunhu wani ichiri kutotakura isati yasumuka, but vanotaura nevanhu vacho vane mushikashika uri kulodha pamberi perengi mberi perengi chaipo chaipo. Totoona police ichitaura navo vachitambidzwa mari, but vozosunga vanhu vari murengi.
Alright, tinotenda chaizvo. Ndichakumbira vadare vangu vari muno vanosanganisira ZRP National Police Spokesperson Commissioner Paul Nyathi to take note of the contributions as they come through. Ndozovapa mukana wekuti vange vachipindura. Toda kunzwa nhare dzenyu pa 0772162651, 0714414413 kana kuti 660897 moisa 0242 kwekutanga kana muri kufona kubva muHarare. Star FM, hello?
Hello, Linda.
Yes, you're through to Star FM.
Yes, ndokumbira kuti kujekeserwa namudhara wedu waNyata kuti tiri kuona kuti iyo vari kuita operation yemakombe nemushikashika, but tiri kuzoona kuti vemataxi companies ana Mini, ana Destiny, ana Eagle vari kungoiswa mukati, uri kubanadzirwa vanhu vari kungosungwa utoburudziswa munhu ari kuenda waanenge aina unodziburuka ure mhosva. Saka tikuziva kuti zviri kubatawo here nekumateksi anenge anenge akapaka zvakanaka, akapaka mupakingi zvakanaka, unongosweinga usodzi wasungwa. Kana ari murengi unongosodzi uchinzi wasungwa. Saka ndoda kuti tijekeserwo ipapa apa kuti vemateksi companies ari kupindawo pachirongwa ichocho here toziva.
Alright, aiwa tinotenda chaizvo. Commissioner Nyathi vari kutora vari kunyora mibvunzo yenyu pairi kuuya, tichavapa mukana wekuti vange vachipindura. And a contribution that is coming through on our WhatsApp platform from a listener whose number ends with 057. My fines are too much, Linda. How can someone pay a fine of $30 for not having a reflector that costs $1? Also ndiri kuda kubvunza kuti pane mutemo unorambidza kudya kana uchidriver here. Alright, and another question that is coming through, tinokumbirawo mafine fees acho nematraffic offense acho tinzwe. Alright, ndofunga wakada kungorerekera nemubvunzo wabva kubvunzwa. Hanzi hai tinobvumirwa kurekodha mavidhio emapurisa vanenge vachida chioko muhomwe here, because those cops vanobata mota nemhosva yekutakurira pasipo, vanenge vaine kaToyota Wish kavo kegrey or Probox. Ukapinzwa imomo uri driver vanenge vachida $15, so mari inenge yabhadharwa iyoyo inosvika here kucharge office o inogumira mudzihomwe dzavo. Ndivo kana vachibata 150 or 200 per day or 3 or 4 months anotengawo kombi yake, ndiye anozoisa pamushikashika. Alright, saka mubvunzo wake akudzokorodza. It's a very long message. Tinobvumidzwa here kurekodha mapurisa anoita corruption? Akusamaraiza. Kana tisingatenderwe kurekodha, tinodawo kuziva kuti mutemo wacho unonzi chii, because back then ndakamborekodha mupurisa ndikasungwa ndichinzi hausi journalist. Saka ipapo tijekesereiwo kuti majournalist ndiwo ega here. Like I said, it is a very long message. And another message from a listener whose number ends with the 219. Southerton Police Station refused to receive a Zig payment and EcoCash payment for a reflector on a small car. Mutemo upi uyu. I'll take my last caller in this round before I come to Commissioner Nyathi. Star FM, hello?
Hello, Maskera saying.
Taskwera maskero mapinda mchirongwa taura zvenyu.
Yeah, inotada ngoto.
Ndandichikumbira kamudzikise volume yewairesi yenyu tigokwanisa kunzwanana.
Alright, tadzikisa. Alright, inotada chingokumbira kuti zvinhu zvacho zvachiiswa panzvimbo 1 kuti kana ukaenda nemota yacho VIP unoonekwa pati.
All right, and sadly that line has dropped. Hanzi nemumwe mubvunzo pano. Listen, muterera ne number dzinopera na 344. Nailinda kozvema fire extinguisher ne spare wheel reflector zvinopinda papi pamota yakanaka ine zinara. All right, and good evening Linda. Please Vanyati ngavatibatsirawo matouts pana 4th panokwirirwa marondera please. This is from James wekumarondera. Anzi matouts ekuna 4th anetsa. And let me take this call. Star FM, hello?
Hello, Linda.
Yes, good evening. You're through to Star FM.
Ndada kubvunza pane here mutemo unobvunza kuti hanzi mavhesi zviya zvikudiwa futi here mutemo wacho uri papi ndiwana da kumbira ngobvunza kuti uri papi uriko here zvekuti zvinofana kupfeka chivhesi chiya chireflector.
Alright, aiwa tinotenda chaizvo. Regai tichimbopa Commissioner Nyathi mukano wekuti vabvinziro mibvunzo yashe yakawandisa paWhatsApp apa. Amen. Ndinovimba tichazama kupindura izhinji. Commissioner Nyathi mongoti gaga because toda kutora chimwe chiround chemibvunzo.
Thank you, Linda. The contribution about the Mount Pleasant rank along Resende Street, that one now I've taken note. I can assure you will take action. And then on the issue of my taxis, terera ngachibvunza achiti mataxis vana mini tax vana
tisina zvodotara asi iwo aya anenge akatora mapepe ekuti vanenge vachita mataxi services.
What I want to appeal, my taxis, they have got my terms of references. They have got laws which govern their operations. So I appeal to the taxi operators to make sure that they have the requisite papers. Because the other challenge which we have is you have people who have put logs on certain type of vehicles. They brand them as taxis, but they are not registered. And, this morning, I got disturbed. I was reading about this person who hired a certain taxi and was robbed. But he had, approached a car in the CBD of Harare. The person was claiming to be a taxi operator, but along the way, the person was robbed. So I also want to urge these taxi operators, please work with the police. If you have got your papers and your papers are in order, remember taxis have got a specific number of passengers which should be carried. Taxis, they don't operate as if they are combis. They don't operate as if they are buses. So please feel free to engage us. Then we will certainly assist you through police commanders. Then on the issue of fines, we were discussing with the Commissioner General of Police, Commissioner General Stephen Mutamba, the other day. We will ensure that through the relevant arms of government, the schedule of deposit fines is publicized for the benefit of Zimbabweans, for the benefit of motorists. That will continue to engage, and I can assure you the schedule of deposits will be made available. Then somebody was saying any law in terms of eating while driving, there is no law. But we also want people to be responsible. Remember there are also environmental laws. Sometimes you get disturbed. Somebody is drinking a can of a certain drink or of water. Then they just throw that can through the window. And then the motorist is driving, coming from behind. We want also Zimbabweans to be responsible as we drive our vehicles and ensure that in whatever activity one is doing, they comply with the country's safety laws. And then also the issue of recording of videos. It's a fact, Linda. Almost everyone in Zimbabwe owns a smartphone. And some people are using them for good purposes. Some people are using them for sinister motive. So it depends with your intention. Sometimes we are surprised. If you see something wrong being done by a police officer and you record it, genuinely record it, for contribution in terms of the maintenance of law and order in the country, why can you not come to the police and give us that video?
Asi mubvunzo uri pakuti zvinobvumidzwa here nekuti matotaura. The other question I was going to ask is awareness campaigns that you are doing as police to conscientize members of the public about their rights. Hongu munhu anogona kunge apara mhosva dzimwe nguva havana nekuti another concern that has been raised is the intimidation tactics anoshandiswa nemapurisa ekungopinza fiye dzimwe nguva munhu haana mhosva yaapara akutotya. Saka hanzi zviri pamutemo here kuti munhu atore video.
Allow me to explain, Linda. Maybe let me put in vernacular. I'm saying, Linda, a genuine Zimbabwean, a law-abiding Zimbabwean, akaona chakaipa chichwa nemupurisa, akauya akaripota police commanders, I can assure you will take action. But surprisingly, there are certain classes of people who are always having sinister motives. Anoda kunotora a video panenge pachiitwa zvinhu nemapurisa, but video iyoyo isusu as command hatiizive, toiona pasocial media. Saka how do we dress something chatotanga kuonera pasocial media? That's why I'm saying no, Linda, let me explain. That's why I'm saying, Linda, a genuine Zimbabwean wants to build our country must come with that video toiona. Kana mapurisa achitora choko umum to ensure that the law takes course. And I can tell you, Linda, that genuine Zimbabweans have come forward and we've taken action. So what I'm saying is, it depends. But we want Zimbabweans to be responsible. But sometimes, Linda, people, they doctor my images. You think that this image is occurred today, yet it occurred previously. And in Zimbabwe, people are good at that. Vanokunyepera kuti apa paita demonstration kana kuti apa parwa nemapurisa mozocheka that clip is an old clip. That's why I'm saying we want Zimbabweans to be responsible. And also, are you aware, Linda, that there are even people who provoke a situation so that they can record to suit their agenda? And our police officers have come across that. So that's why we are saying we want Zimbabweans to be responsible.
Awareness campaigns that you're carrying out as the ZRP to educate members of the public around kodzero dzavo kuti vazive kuti kwakuprovoka kwemakuita uko kana kuti zvinobvumidzwa pakodzero dzavo zviri pamaconfines emutemo kuti kana usina kunzwisisa ndapi matanha ungatore pakubvunza kuti unzwisisa kuti handina kunzwisisa kuti apa mati mhosva matotaura imimi kuti kudya mapindura mukati kudya haisi mhosva asi kuzorasa marara kunze iyoyo imhosva in line with the country's environmental laws. What measures or programs are you taking kuti veruzhinji vange vachiziva kodzero dzavo?
Linda, one, we're having a stakeholder approach. That's why we're working together with the associations. And I'm happy some of these associations are cooperating. Then 2 weeks ago, we issued a statement in terms of road behavior. And the last week, we issued another one. And we are also using our various social media platforms to educate the public, to engage the public. We also have program, radio program, and the Star FM, we also have got a slot for us, which our officers come here on a weekly basis to engage the public. So that's why I'm saying we want each and every person to play a part in terms of road safety, in terms of promoting the issue of being responsible citizens, and above all, being law-abiding citizens. Then the issue of Southerton Police Station receiving to accept Zig, I've taken note, and I can assure you we'll address it. And then the issue of fire extinguishers, the reflectors. The country's laws are very clear, Linda, that as a vehicle moves on the road, in the case of a fire incident, how do you assist to put out that fire? So these are the laws which have been put in place by the government to protect motorists, to protect travelers. But however, we are saying our officers should also focus on key issues, like the issue of the vests which have been raised. We have even advised our officers that it's not something which they should put too much focus on. They must focus on issues which promote road safety. That the vehicle is certified fit to be carrying passengers, that the vehicle is got all the requisite documents for it to be moving from one point to another. These are the issues which the Commissioner General personally told me to say, Nyathi, as you conduct your engagement with the public, tell the public that the police will focus on these issues. And if they see police officers focusing too much on these reflective jackets, please let us know, and I can assure you we'll address it.
I wonder Novimba vateereri vedu have been answered nekuti issue yema-reflective vests ndoyanga iri kutsviriridza paWhatsApp. And thank you very much, Commissioner Nyathi, for that clarity. And tambotaura tikati zvoni, we have lost lives due to the cat and mouse games between mapurisa. And with you, Commissioner Nyathi, kubva kumashure, we've had numerous discussions around this issue. The police have been under fire for disappearing whenever a chase of a combi results in an accident. What have you been doing to train your members to enforce traffic rules in a manner that does not result in the injury of ordinary persons? Maybe options such as capturing number plates and increased cooperations with associations.
One thing which I want to tell Zimbabweans, Linda, is to thank the generality of Zimbabweans for their cooperation. And as we speak now, to be honest, we have got isolated instances of any perceived cat and mouse game between the police and the combis. I think the guys here from associations can testify. It is only maybe those few rogue elements, those who have got combis which are not registered, who are trying to do so. But generally, even in Harare, even Blawa, even Gweru, we've not had problems in terms of the so-called cat and mouse game. And also, the police commanders have been told by the Commissioner General of Police to ensure that on a daily basis, they engage police officers to put the safety of passengers first as they perform their duties. And this is what we also appeal to the public. If they see a police officer whom they think or whom they feel that is not performing his duty properly, please let us know. They can even utilize our complex desk number 0242 703 631, 0242 703 631, or WhatsApp number 0712 800 197, 0712 800 197. I also want to take note of the touts at 4th Street. We'll visit touts at 4th Street.
All right, then mungade kuziva maposition ndisandatora vateereri vaviri vekupedzisera ndichangoverenga so that you can take notes sezvo nguva yedu yapera. Hanzi Linda, polisi yeHatfield inomira pana masocha kuma past 5 bvunza kuti ndizvo here. Vamwe vakati ndichaverenga as is nekuti muripo kuti munge muchipindura semutauriri wemapurisa muZimbabwe. Zvikanzi mapurisa epaZBC ndiyo iZBC Simon Mazorodze are very corrupt. Vamwe vakati kuSunningdale ndo kune mafia yemapurisa ari kutonga transport sector paSunningdale padomwa nezvapo. Tingade kuti mupindure. And then other people are coming also vachitaura kune masyndicates. Mumwe abvunza muteereri zvikanzi ndizvo here kuti mupurisa anotenderwa kunga achidriver kombi, ndiwo masyndicates iwayo who are operating Harare's transport sector. I will take my last two callers. Star FM.
Hello, Linda Muriro.
Tinofara kana muchifarawo mapinda muchirongwa mungoti gagaga.
Right. Ndanchida kungowedzerawo panyaya yemataxi, registered taxi line. Pane patiri kufila kuti tinenge tiri kubatirwa picking and dropping of passengers. Because isusu tiri kufunga kuti kana tiri kunge tichioperator, tichidriver mataxis aya, munhu akati ari kuda kuenda from point A to point B, patiri kunodropa munhu paya whether ndapinda muparking kana kuti ndabhadhara mari yangu yeseat park, mupurisa ari kungouya ipapo obva akuudza kuti dropping on undesignated place. But handisati ndanyatso operate.
All right.
In terms of picking and dropping my passengers atinenge chitakura aya.
All right. Tinotenda chaizvo necontribution yenyu. Ndive ndangoverenga mamwe ari kuuya ndaona yekugweru so that we have a national perspective to these issues. In Gweru, 90% of these Mushikashikas are police owned or police driven. So even if there is an operation, they do not get arrested, rendering the whole process useless. So please, Commissioner, please assist operators that are getting frustrated because papers are just useless since these police officers are doing as they please. My last caller for tonight. Star FM. Tiripo hedu makadiwo mapinda muchirongwa.
Yeah, inini ndandi kufundira kubvunza mukuru wemapurisa aripo kuti tichibva kunoku kunonzi kumausekwa kunoku paGolf paya pane karodhi buroko karipo kanenge kaine mapurisa ane masame faces for a long time. Vanomisa motikari havauyi kuzinzesa motikari yacho, madrivers ndo anokuruka mumhanya kune motikari yachono. Zviriko here izvozvo?
Right, aiwa tinotenda chaizvo tazvinzwa. Regai tigovapa mukana wekuti vapindure. Ndibve ndangoverenga mamwe. Commissioner Nyathi hanzi mutora shanga police Linda inotora mari murank zvinobvumirwa nemutemo here. And then marondera police blocks akawanda. And then another one, Linda, police officers permitted by law to take my vehicle by force, i.e. driving my vehicle kuenda kucharge office on a traffic offense. Are they also allowed to force drivers to open their vehicles so they sit in and drive to the police station? And why is the operation not getting rid of known illegal ranks? These areas are known. We see the police there, but nothing is done. Is this operation real, or is it all pretense? And Commissioner Nyathi, as we end the show, the view that has come out loud that police syndicates are running the transport system, especially in Harare, as you respond to the issues that have come through.
Thank you, Linda. I know there are so many issues that have been raised, but I can tell you the Commissioner General of Police, Commissioner General Stephen Mutamba, is serious. Watch this space and you see what happens in terms of the conduct of police officers. And if there is a police officer out there who is engaged in any criminal activity, who is engaged in any law, in any contraventions of the country's laws, including operating Mushikashika, they only have themselves to blame. And this, I mean it. And the issue of all the places which have been raised, such as Mutorashanga, Marondera, other places in Harare, I've taken note. I can assure you by tomorrow I'll hand over this document to the Commissioner General of Police so that we also investigate some of the allegations which have been raised. But I also want to challenge Zimbabweans. Let us also contribute towards road safety by being responsible citizens, by being law-abiding citizens. Anyone who has got his car, make sure your car is compliant with the country's laws. And I've said, this operation is not targeting public service vehicles only. We are also targeting common vehicles. We are also targeting family vehicles. What it means is, kana tikakuona uchifamba mumugwagwa uchidrive against one way, iri common car, we will take it. Kana tikakuona uchidrive a family car against one way, iri family car, we will take it. If in my common executive, I can tell you, Linda, there are also common executives who are also giving us problems. Waunoona yo achifamba in full speed. I should drive against oncoming. And some of them will even be flashing my lights. I should indicate or some of the drivers pull off so that I can pass. We will take action. Right. So, in a nutshell, Zimbabweans, you are known for being responsible citizens. Zimbabweans, you are known for being law-abiding citizens. Let us not renege on that which is good for our country. Let us contribute towards road safety in our country. Let us ensure that in everything that we do, we comply with the country's laws. And I can tell you, we will not have problems with the Zimbabwe Republic Police. And if there are police officers who are corrupt out there, report. I can assure you they will be arrested and they will be fired from the Zimbabwe Republic Police.
All right, apane ma-hotspots ataurwa panapa vanana Sunningdale ava vari kunzi ivavo chimbonyatsovaongororai ndo ari kuranwa nemapurisa. But as we end the show, Frederick, how do we ensure a convenient and efficient public transportation system inovandudzwo mabasa ema-operators ichiita kuti veruzhinji vanofamba zvakanaka uye mumugwagwa medu mune makati twasu?
Number one, it is now very clear that we have got a public transport system which recognizes buses and combis. Number two is to make sure that the associations sign with the city of Harare or other cities service level agreements like what has been done in Bulawayo. And thirdly, there is now a new culture that has to be developed where the enforcement has to actually impress those who are compliant to make sure that they continue to have the spirit of compliance. And also, the members of the public must also understand that they are the committing public. They are contributing more to Mushikashika. For example, Epworth, Mabuku, Chitungwiza, Ruwa. Whenever the police have got an operation, you can actually see the statistics of cries that come from those areas. This is the reason why we say those areas, they must accept association vehicles. If they accept compliant vehicles, they will not have problems.
All right, and Ngoni, your parting remarks?
Yeah,
briefly, please.
Thank you. I think we are just appealing to Commissioner Nyathi. protection of compliant operators. Let's measure on majors and stop measuring on minors, on compliant public service vehicles. Free passage tickets, if they are issued, they should be issued on a genuine case, and no delays on issuing tickets. That's where corruption starts. So please, Commissioner, please protect compliant combis which are registered, which have got papers.
Awesome.
And concentrate on 13,500 that do not have papers, so
Alright.
that police can get their income, government can get their income, but from illegal operators.
All right, and Commissioner Nyathi, if you could please repeat those numbers. Pane vari kubvunza manamba aye mambotaura ndabata cell phone number, WhatsApp number is 0712 800 197 0712 800 197. Mungade kudzokorodza mamwe manamba dzenhare dzekuti veruzhinji vanobata nadzo mapurisa.
The National Complaint Desk number 0242 for those outside Harare. I reiterate 0242 703 631 0242 703 631. They can also phone Harare operations 0242 74 8836 0242 74 8836. Thank you.
I'd like to take this opportunity to thank my guests, ZRP National Spokesperson, Commissioner Paul Nyathi, who was here with the Greater Harare Association of Commuter Operators, Chairperson Ngonika Chairo, as well as President of the Zimbabwe United Deregulator Commuter Operators, President Frederick Maguraminga. And earlier on, we were also joined by Chairperson of Bupta Limited, Morgan Msipa from Bulawayo. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for coming through. I am Linda Muriro. Until next time, it is a goodbye for now. Stand by for the news.